right, I think I'm live, everybody. I'm not very techy with this stuff. All right, so I'll just carry on and hope this goes through. All right, this is a follow-up video to my video yesterday that was pretty emotionally packed. As you could all see, I actually, before that, went through an entire box of Kleenex, crying and snotting all over with the recent loss of my close family member. Yeah, lots going on with that. So I figured I'd powder my nose and look a little more appropriate today. As you can see, I always have my Armor of God necklace on. It's real important to me that I put this on every day. It reminds me also of the gifts God and others have given me. I've done a lot of astral traveling and meeting with beings of light in the higher dimension, my star family, and other beings out there in the galaxy, my friends. They're always with me. They're always with me. So to clarify a couple things yesterday, I did get a question about ETs in the secure facility of the ADX. Well, I have had a couple experiences, yes. But again, the experiences I have are not visual to the human eye. They are beings in a higher dimension. For example, I did get a picture of Bigfoot in 2013 when I was volunteering at East City Ranch. I had put my intention out there that I would like to see one. I would write it on my water bottle. I love Bigfoot. Put your intention out there because intention is everything. Intention is everything. Thought creates. Thoughts are energy. And after about a week, I was walking back to my campsite in the dark in Washington State at the base of Mount Adams. It was very dark. Walking back to my campsite, and someone said to me in my ear, "Take a picture to your left." So I pulled out my phone and I took a picture. And I went back to my website, my campsite, and I went through my pictures. And I went, wait a minute, what is this purple energy? Because I didn't have the flash on. And I looked at it and I went, oh my goodness. Bigfoot was right there next to me. And you can see his ancient, strong face. But see, you can't see this with the naked eye. Our human eyes only have a range of vision like this. And then you got all this actually going on. So you actually see very little of reality. So that's just kind of one example of what I mean when I see and have visits. Another time when I worked at the Supermax in Nevada, I had a health issue going on, and the entities of light came into my bedroom in the middle of the night and woke me up, and I asked them, could I see you? And they're just balls of light. That's why I call them beings of light with consciousness. And so they're always with me, whether I'm at home, whether I'm at Walmart, whether I'm at work. So yes, I am in a lot of contact with non-human energies, consciousnesses, high-level masters. And like I said in my video yesterday, in 2012 when I was ready to pass in the middle of the night. When hospice was offered by my specialist, they intervened and told me, no, don't do this. It's not time. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them working on my organs, scanning me with their technology, kissing me on the lips before they left, and telling me what I needed to do to continue my journey back to health. And after that, I've had hundreds of experiences. Mary came that night. My experience was a little bit similar to that boxer's movie that came out, Big Mike Tyson or something like that. I can't remember the name, but he had a near-death experience where Jesus came to him and said, it's not your time. Profound, profound stuff, for which I am so very grateful. Very grateful. So with that, I've had hundreds of experiences, astral traveling, out into the higher realms, doing my light worker work that I do. I have done some really great stuff on behalf of humanity that a lot of people have no clue. And there's a lot of us out there like that. We're not on the front page. We're not in the mainstream media. We're not on the Stu Peters show. Because I work for God. I work for Creator. In 2019, I was taken out of body to Prime Creator, where I was told, great things are coming. You're on a special mission, direct from Prime Creator, and that it's not going to be easy. So what did this Prime Creator look like? Just a big, big ball of beautiful white light energy with a very loving conscious. It was a consciousness that was unconditional love, that does not judge, for which we all came from. So inside this physical body, hi Alice, in this physical body we have a spark of that divine energy that this Prime Creator source energy exploded out like sparkles into the omniverse, into the multiverse, that wanted to expand its consciousness by experiencing what it's like to be cold. It's cold. It's cold out there, isn't it, guys? Prime Creator doesn't know what it's like to be cold. But it does now, because all of his little children are experiencing it. It's uncomfortable. It burns a little bit. You shiver. And at the same time, people in other countries where it's very hot, right? You get to experience that. People get to experience what it's like to eat a delicious apple or banana. Or people get to experience what it's like to not have food. People get to experience joys in life, the birth of your children. And then people get to experience, like I did, the passing of my family member yesterday. No experience goes unacknowledged by God. And everything has purpose. Your suffering, your joys, your addictions, your whatever. That's what Prime Creator sent us out to do. Create. We are all mini-me's of God. I am nobody special. I am not your guru. I don't want to be anybody's guru. I do me, you do you. I just share my experiences and what I have seen firsthand. Y'all can do the same thing. What makes me a little different is that I live this 24/7. I go to bed watching a spiritual video, reading something, listening to a video that's spiritual. Julie Green Ministries, other light workers channels on YouTube. And what I usually find is I have shared some information that matched theirs the day before. And it's like, I tell James, I said, wait a minute, did you hear that? That's exactly what I said yesterday. It's nice to get confirmations. So I do this 24/7. And even when I'm not home, I play cleansing high frequency music to cleanse the house. Essential oils. Listening to high vibration music. To me, the love songs from the 70s. Wow. The 70s music is, to me, great stuff. I love it. And that's one way that I have found where I can connect with spirit when I'm driving or traveling. I'll put in a song. I'll try to find that one song that I can connect to its frequency and bring it in. And I just go boom. And the connection happens. Sounds hokey, but the Backstreet Boys song Drowning is one of them. Yes, I like the Backstreet Boys. Another thing that I do to raise my frequency is there's a couple days a month where I do very deep spiritual work and deep connection. I begin the day with putting out intentions of who I want to connect with. I fast. I drink a lot of filtered water. I drink some ASEA. No, I don't sell this. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just telling you what I do. I drink some ASEA. I take every day lithium orotate. This stuff is cheap and it's really good. It helps calm the mind and helps you focus better. Also, for the previous couple years, I detoxed my pineal gland by taking fermented skate liver oil capsules made by Green Pastures. Now, years ago, they used to be like $30 a bottle, $32. Now they're $47 a bottle on Amazon. So I haven't had any since last year. But I found that little trick by watching an interview that Carrie Cassidy did with David Wilcock with, I forgot his name. He was a doctor in the military, whom is now dead because they killed him. And he gave out a little hint of this particular fish that will help detoxify your pineal gland. And I listened to that over and over again and took all the little hints and I pieced it together and boom, I found it. And taking it with just a couple weeks, my sleep was different, it was better. And that's, your pineal gland regulates melatonin, your sleep, your cycle. It also DMT, it's your spirit gland. It releases a lot of DMT at that point where your physical body dies and you're released back into the spirit world. So I took that for a few years. I take L-tryptophan, phosphatidylserine, and lion's mane. I take these daily. So these are my kind of spiritual herbal remedies that I take. So every day I put my intention out to work with my guides who are always with me, whether you call them spirit guides, guardian angels, loved ones, star family, whatever you call them, because everybody has a different name. And so yesterday, as I began to prepare my day, because I wanted to connect with spirit, because of the passing of my close family member at 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday. And just so you know, she came to me at 5 a.m. And she smacked me so hard awake, because I never wake up at 5 a.m. I mean, I go to sleep at 2 a.m. and I sleep usually till 10 a.m. That's been my routine for many years. But she slapped me awake, and I was totally awake at 5 a.m. And it wasn't until later that morning I got the phone call from her son, who also told me that his mother woke him up at 5 a.m. out of a deep sleep. And he says to me, "That's never happened before." He says, "I woke up at 5 a.m. with such a clarity. It was just very strange." I said, "Well, that was your mom." So yesterday, in preparing my intention for my deep spiritual work, Jesus was one of the spiritual masters I wanted to connect with. And when you go up that high in frequency, your frequency needs to somewhat match so that you can connect and get the message. And again, with doing that, it's with intention, it's with fasting, my spiritual remedies, and my past experiences with it. So I just wanted to clarify with people today that that was not a joke yesterday. I never, ever joke about spiritual experiences, the beings that I come in contact with, or make fun of it. Yesterday, I was exhausted, emotionally drained, totally cleansed from sobbing and snotting. But with that, I got my grief out, because that's what you need to do when a loved one or your pet passes. You need to cry. It's a cleanse. It's a release. You cannot lock that up inside. You have to let it out. But the thing is, you cannot keep that grief for an extended period of time. Otherwise, it's causing you harm and your loved one harm that passed. Emotions are an energetic connection. It's almost like a spider web. Where your thoughts and emotion go, you grab that and you attach to it. So yesterday I sobbed and got it out, and then I got motivated. pissed off. And God and Jesus and my family member came to me and said, "You've got to do this now. You must go public with this information. You know too much." And boy, do I. I started in nursing school back in the 80s. Everything was different back then. Doctors worked for themselves, not the corporate conglomerate. They were able to treat their patients in the way that they felt best suited for that particular patient, because one size does not fit all. People have allergic reactions, weird side effects. In fact, in today's world, death by a doctor is one of the top 3 causes of death. Death by the treatment of our medical system. And it took 2 of my family members in the past year. And I'm sure everybody out here knows what I'm talking about. Having an autistic child, suffering consequences from a doctor's poor judgment. I've seen it all. Doctors in today's world do not heal or cure anything. In fact, they can't. It's against the law. They can only treat you. So again, yesterday, Jesus came in. And I said, "Master Jesus, what would you like me to do?" He said, "Go over to the desk and get a plain piece of paper, and I want you to write a note." So I went, got a blank piece of paper. He said, "Go get a Sharpie." I got a Sharpie. And he said, "This is what you write." In this scrolled, I'm going to get some nice ribbon when I present it. And this is what he had me write. Some of you might understand the meaning of those words. Some of you might not. Now I'm going to have to speak in code because I don't want Facebook putting me in jail again. A couple years ago, people were being forced and highly encouraged and pressured to get these things that go up here. And all of those things that people get up here, the box that comes from the manufacturer has what's called a package insert. I can't say the first word of it. It starts with a V. You figure it out. And the one that came with that particular mRNA one came with an information sheet, a package insert, that was totally blank. Now, normally, this big piece of paper is filled with small font, filled front and back. What's in it, the description, what it's for, contraindicated, side effects, post-marketing experience, blah, 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 statistics, everything. But yet, this particular one, when you held it up, it said intentionally left blank. Now, I have one here somewhere in one of my boxes. So basically, they're telling you, Joe Public, that we're forcing this medical product on you, that you don't need to know all this information. It's none of your business. Otherwise, you might not take it. So when Jesus came in yesterday, he said, "Done. I want you to take this scrolled message to the hospital that you went and had the MRI at last week." And he said, the one that we all looked at the crosses. They had like 20 different crosses hanging up on the wall in about a 50-foot hallway leading you to radiology. I'm not kidding. I'm going to do a video of it probably Tuesday and show you the ridiculousness of it. Hospitals are using the name of Jesus as an endorsement. How blasphemous, when they are killing and poisoning everybody for profit. Never a cure. You're a number. I've worked in hospitals over the last 30 years. They made me sick. It was disgusting. They were just constantly poisoning people, drugging them. I could only last a year at the most. I would go into the chapel and pray. And I would connect with beings there. So just so you all know, hospitals do have angels, teams of God's messengers, teams of spiritual doctors and healers at the hospitals. And at the same time, there's demonic creatures in there also, especially in the surgical suites, because your energy is then broken and they can enter because you're unconscious and your energy is being cut into. So if you or you know someone having surgery, I had a friend of mine who was a surgeon in California, and she told me also that she would pray for the patient before surgery, envision white light enveloping their body, protecting them. And her peers picked on her so bad, she's like, you know what? I'm done with you guys. It's hard to work in a hospital. Very hard. Forgive my swearing, but nurses are bitches. I don't know where this ego control thing came from. Nazis. It's like, could I have informed consent? How about no thank you? I had to take my husband to the hospital. He was inpatient for a few days, and they kept pushing this statin drug on him. And I'm like, no thank you. No thank you. We're taking niacin. I would argue with the doctor. Have you seen the side effects to those statin drugs? It's pages. It's horrific. Brain damage, neurological damage, dementia, ALS. No. Finally, I said, how many times do we have to say no thank you? Yeah. And I've been escorted out of many hospitals. It's like a joke in the family. Oh yeah, they bring up their goons and they put their hand on their mace, and and it's all for just asking questions. Why are you giving this patient, my family member, tube feeding when she's on a vent with MRSA in both lungs and she's about 60 pounds overweight? Why are you pumping in this dead mucus-forming food? I says, intermittent fasting will boost her immune system. And then they looked at me, well, you want to starve her? I said, look at her. She's overweight. And in the documentation, boy, they hated me. They hate me. They're like Nazis. You go into any hospital now, what do you see first? You walk in those doors, what do you see first? Security. I had to go to urgent care a few months ago, and as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I'm looking at all these posters that says, this is a place of compassionate healing. If your behavior is swearing or volatile, we're going to escort you out. Big posters everywhere. Compassionate healing, it said. There's a place of compassionate healing. So I go in there to see this urgent care doctor because I had a dislocated shoulder scapula. I was in severe pain. It wound up being a spiritual attack. I'm fine now, but he looks at me, he says, well, I'm not giving you any medicine for it. I says, I didn't ask you for any. I says, I'm looking for imaging. Can you do an x-ray? They treat you like crap, and that's okay. And you should have seen how he documented my attitude. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then that's in your permanent medical record. Our healthcare system is broken. There is no health and there is no care in it. So going back to this hospital where I had the MRI, Jesus told me to take this scrolled message to them because they've been blowing up my phone. You need to come in. You need to come and talk to the business office. Apparently Blue Cross and Blue Shield didn't approve your MRI. Oh, now you tell me. So when I go in there, I'm just going to ask, why am I here? And then they're going to tell me, well, your MRI wasn't approved. And I'm like, well, why not? Why didn't you tell me this before you took my $40 copay and performed a procedure that costs about $3,000, for which I'm not working right now because I just quit my job. And then Jesus said, he wants you to tell them I have a message for them. And I will tell them. I have a very profound and personal relationship with Jesus. And I noticed all of your crosses displayed on the wall here. So the other day, Jesus gave me a message for you. And they're going to open this up and not know what the heck it is. And I will tell them. Jesus does not want you using his name anymore. You are not a place of health or care. And that this is the beginning of the end of the petrochemical pharmaceutical cartel. This message that I'm presenting to you, the public, and to this hospital will leave an energetic print that these shenanigans are to be stopped. Right on, Alice. So I just wanted to clarify my day yesterday and how I connected with Master Jesus to get this message. How do I know it was Master Jesus? How do I know when Mary comes in? How do I know when Commander Ashtar comes in? How do I know if Mother Goddess Sekhmet comes in? How do I know if it's my family member coming in or my son-in-law coming in? How do I know? I know by their frequency. These beings in the higher dimensions, they don't come up to you and shake your hand and say, "Oh, hi, Master Jesus here." You just know who they are. You sense their frequency. You know who they are. The very first encounter I had in 2012 when I was dying, I knew Mary was there. I called my daughter the next morning. I said, "Mary was here." And she's, "Okay, Mom, you're a little crazy." I knew it was. And then it wasn't until a couple years later at East City Ranch when I was volunteering for James Gilliland where I asked him during a session, "Who kissed me?" I didn't tell him who I thought it was. I said, "Who kissed me on the lips when I asked for a hug before they left?" And he said it was Mary. And I said, "I knew it." So a couple things about yesterday's video I wanted to clarify is I did discuss the wardens or the warden at the federal prison complex that I worked at called FCC Florence. It's a complex. It has 4 prisons in that complex, a camp, a medium, a high, and then the supermax in the back. For 4 years, I worked at the supermax in the back. And during those 4 years, during my tour of duty there as a law enforcement officer, my specific duties was in medical as a registered nurse, but everybody that works there is a law enforcement officer first. So I'm trained in handguns. I have to qualify every year. And that's kind of one of the things that tipped my scale to get out of there is this attack on my shoulder. I could not qualify to shoot their shotgun this year. Their shotguns don't fit me to begin with because I'm short, the stock is too long, and then the kick is pretty bad. And I didn't want to screw up my shoulder for the rest of my life. So I said, well, maybe this is my sign. It's time to go. Because you have to qualify to work there. And I wanted to choose the manner in which I exited that facility. It was to be on my terms. So while I was there, there were 2 different wardens there. The one that was there when I first started was Warden True. He's the one that was violating a lot of different rights and treaties and informed consent by pressuring his staff to get these things a couple years ago. He did it in a way that was shocking and unethical. With someone in that position of power, you don't stand in the entranceway and point and usher your staff into this room to go get it. Under the threat of you're going to lose your job. I don't have any respect for that man. And that's the warden that I typed up the legal notice to and attached all my supporting documentation to it so that there was no question. My legal notice was on point. Now, mind you, I'm a trained federal medical investigator. Never lost an investigation because I'm good. And as soon as I delivered that legal notice to him, he's the one that went to go find a senior officer to write fraudulent sexual harassment papers against me so he could get rid of me. That's how these creeps work. But you see, I was still there. He wound up retiring shortly after that. I also sent the same legal notice to the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons and the same one to the Attorney General at the time. And both of those people retired soon after. I'm not saying that my legal notice did it, but it's quite coincidental that they all retired and I still had my job. Because I knew I was being watched. They told me I was being watched. And they're probably going to be watching me now. They got nothing on me. Every single performance evaluation, because us federal workers have quite a few of them every year. We've got quarterly, we've got biannually, we've got yearly. It seems like we're having performance evaluations all the time. Mine are always excellent and outstanding. I'm a professional. So I just wanted to clarify which warden I was talking about. Now, the current warden, who's been there for a few years, I have some high regard for him. I have watched him carefully. I have talked to inmates about their issues that spoke to the warden during executive rounds. Well, what did the warden say? Next day, did he follow up? Yes, ma'am, he did. I'm like, great. He's sharp. He's intelligent. And I have watched him spiritually. He's even brought in something new to the ADX of a trial that some of the inmates could have a fish in a small fish tank in their cell. No other warden would have done that. But I think he can only do so much. At the same time, I did have a few meetings with him and gave him some ideas about medical that he didn't follow up on. And lo and behold, what happened, happened. So anywho, the other thing I wanted to clarify, which I think I did at the beginning, is I did have a question in my PM about my ET presence, and so I think I covered that pretty good. Yeah, working there has been quite the journey, I tell you that. I'm hoping someone in Congress will get a hold of me so that I can share my firsthand experience of the things that I've seen go on there. One thing I do want to say is I've heard a lot of people say, once a CIA, always a CIA, or, oh, once you're this, you're always that. No, that's not always true. Yeah, I worked for the DOJ. I worked for an arm of the DOJ, the BOP. And there's a lot of good people working there. A lot of officers there are well informed and aware that our government has gone rogue. I'd say at least a good third to almost half see the injustice, the overreach. Our agencies have been captured by those with no oath. That's scary. All right, so with that, I'm just going to finish up tonight. Let's see if there's any questions here. Lots of good comments. Thank you, Alice. You are a beautiful, beautiful soul. You see it. You know what I'm talking about. You feel what I'm telling you. You know, when I first started this like 10, 12 years ago, I was laughed at a lot. Yeah, okay. Well, nowadays, people are now saying, hey, maybe she was right. Right? I mean, you can go through my Facebook. Now, they kind of blocked me from my other one, but this one even goes back many years. Scroll back. You don't know who I am. Question everything. But go back years and you'll see. I've been trying to tell people lots of good stuff. So I just wanted to comment on a couple other things. Seems like a lot of people now are having strokes and heart attacks. So I always carry with me in my emergency bag a couple cayenne pepper capsules. This is great for busting up, thinning your blood. And this, if someone's having a heart attack, you give them a couple of these, and it may save their lives. And it'll work a lot better than a pharmaceutical created by Bayer, Nazi organization. That's where Bayer came from. It's a Nazi organization. Do you think that their intention is to help you be healthy? No. It's all about poisoning and profits. So I don't take pharmaceuticals only as a last resort and hopefully temporarily until I can research and figure out a more natural remedy. But yeah, I carry around this emergency bottle in case me or somebody I know, or if I'm around somebody, family, if they're having symptoms of a stroke or heart attack, boom, I give them a couple of these, get them to the ER. Unfortunately, there isn't an ER or hospital that's a naturopath or a holistic healing hospital, because now the pharmaceutical cartel has taken control of all healthcare system, right? And and I've gotten with arguments with doctors, why did you even come here? I said, well, where else am I supposed to go? My holistic healing centers that I go to are in South America, and I can't. I need treatment now. I need something now. I need a MRI, or I need labs or something. I got this issue going on. So yeah, they're all Nazis. And if you go into the hospital, take somebody with you so they can protect you and see what's going on. I've done that for people in my family quite a few times, and I've been threatened to be kicked out, and yeah, they hate me. Because I just ask questions. Well, why can't you give her this? Or why do you think it's this? Or and then they get pissed off. So I'll leave you with a little story. Briefly, I'll try to condense it. And I've had hundreds of experiences, hundreds. I've helped about 400, 500, 600 people with healing through my connection with the beings of light. So, there was a family member who was around 30 or so at that time, and she took a psych med that the doctor gave her, and I told her it's probably not a good idea. But she was kind of desperate at the time, and she took it, and she had a reaction. And 911 was called, and her respirations were depressed, so they intubated her. So at this large university medical center, I think it was in Cleveland, this was years ago, they put her on a vent. And with that, they sedate you. And I think people are starting to wake up about this ventilator issue. They make big money off this ventilator unit. Big money. So I drive across the country to go help this family member who's on a ventilator now, and I'm in total shock. She's, now she's got double MRSA. Nasty sputum. I looked at them, I said, she's going to go into respiratory distress anytime. She's going to go septic. So I went downstairs and I cried in the middle of the night, and I connected with beings there. And I said, I need to find Jesus. Jesus promised, you find 2 or more people to pray and ask in my name and miracles will happen. And I sobbed in their front lobby of this grand, beautiful medical center that was killing my family member on a ventilator. I kept telling them, take that vent off. And then they were saying, oh, it's the weekend now. We don't have respiratory. I'm like, any day you're going to kill her. She's got double MRSA. She's going to go into respiratory distress. Get that vent out. Remember, they're getting big money for this. So again, I prayed in the lobby, crying. Where am I going to find someone in this demonic facility that's going to want to pray to Jesus? So these beings in the lobby at the hospital, non-physical beings, told me to go upstairs. I go upstairs, it's about 4 or 5 in the morning. As soon as I walk in to the patient's room, there's this black lady. She looked like she was maybe from somewhere in Africa, but she had a very spiritual essence to her. She walked right up to me. As soon as I walked in, she walked up to me and said, you must be her family. And I said, yes. She says, hold my hands, let's pray to Jesus. I sobbed as she said this prayer. The next day, I had to go home, drive states away. I got a call the next day in the morning from the doctor. The doctor says, well, I have bad news, Miss Dunn. I says, what is it? She said she pulled her vent out. I said, thank you, Jesus. It just came out. And have you ever seen anybody on a ventilator? It's strapped, Velcroed with this headgear. Everything is strapped tight. Their arms are strapped down because they fight it if they come into conscious, right? She's all strapped down. She's got a Foley catheter in. I got back in the car, drove states back. My family member's sitting up in bed looking at me like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, what happened? She said, this angel came to me. She looked like a nurse. She gave me her name. Now, mind you, all this is out of body in the astral realm. Came to her, sat at her bedside and said, would you like to go with me to this crystal healing center? She said she was a little nervous, but she knew the urgency of it. And she says, well, what do I have to lose? She said, well, yeah. Angels in the hospital, there's a team. They went to that ventilator unit, grabbed some of the patients, and put them on a transport bus to this astral realm crystal healing center that had a Native American flavor to it. She told me details of how they transported her, this lady's name, what color scrubs she was wearing, what she looked like, what she told the people running the crystal healing center in the astral realm, that other ventilator patients were with her, that they laid her down and they put a crystal vent in her mouth, into her lungs, and they used a crystalline energy to clear that bilateral MRSA infection. And then they put her and the other patients back on the transport bus, back to the hospital in the physical realm. And then the beings of light, before they popped her in her body, they pulled out the physical ventilator, suctioned her, and suctioned this black infection out of her lungs. And then all the alarms were going off. Nurses and doctors are running in going, what is going on here? How did this black stuff wind up in, how did she get the vent out? And after that, she was completely fine. But the hospital didn't want to let her go because she had an effect from a psych medication, which made her a psych patient. So they wanted her to be admitted for evaluation, for psychological evaluation. And upon further investigation, it was their own psych ward that was frequently using electric shock therapy. We panicked because one doctor there wrote a medical hold order, which now she became the property of this medical center, and her rights were terminated. Then they wanted to remove her gallbladder because they said she had gallbladder issues. So then they were going to surgically remove her gallbladder without her consent. And then they did a bunch of other labs and tests that she didn't want or need, but she couldn't say no because there was a medical hold order on her. And in Ohio, all it takes is one doctor to write a medical hold order and your rights are terminated. How do you like that? I know a lot of other states have that going on too. I was in such shock that I called the sheriff on the phone and put him on speaker because the sheriff has more power than anybody else in this entire country. I put the sheriff on speaker. I said, sir, I'm with this adult family member and they're refusing to release her. And she's alert and oriented. She's stable. And I'm a mandated reporter. I'm a registered nurse. And the first thing he says, well, they can't keep her hostage. I said, sir, they are. And then the doctor piped up and yelled, there's a medical hold order on her. And then the sheriff paused and he says, well, ma'am, there's nothing I can do. Medical kidnapping is real and it happens a lot. So then I began again praying, what do? We got to get her out of here. Because this medical center's psych ward is dangerous. So again, the beings told me, get on your laptop, look here, call this place. So I called this facility that had nothing to do with that medical center. And I didn't lie, but I didn't tell full truth. I just said, this is RN Dunn calling from Cleveland, whatever, Wexner Medical Center. And there's a gal here that needs a bed. Oh, well, it was Thanksgiving. They said, if you can get her here today, we'll take her. I said, thank you very much. I took the name and information down, walked down to the nurse's station, got the charge nurse and say, she was just accepted at this place. I want her out of here now. They were not happy. They got their goons up there. They're big security guys with their hands on their mace. I says, I'm not yelling, I'm not swearing, I'm just telling you. Your issue is with her psych to make sure that she's safe and psychologically, sound. You want she's going to have follow-up over there, not here. So they couldn't deny me. But this is how hospitals work now. Be aware and be prepared. All right. Anywho, I've been rambling on for a little longer than I thought. I'm going to try to do something like this a couple times a week so that I can share more experiences, more information, updates, more videos. If you know somebody that has knowledge of wrongful doing, treason, government overreach, medical mafia experiences, share your story. We need to put this out there because I don't consent anymore. Enough is enough. And with the death of my close family member yesterday, that was it. Everything I do from this day forward is in the spirit of her. It's in the spirit of my son-in-law from last summer. The patients that have been in my care, that have looked to me and begged for help. I cannot forget the places God has put me for a purpose. I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera. I don't like being public. I'm a very private person. But I cannot just sit here and do nothing. What kind of world are we going to be leaving our grandchildren? Because Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum is telling you plain and simple words. You will own nothing and be happy. You'll eat the bugs. He's a Nazi. Is this what you want? I don't. We're on the cusp of this. They're telling you in your face what their plans are. And if you don't stand up and say, no, 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 I do not consent to this. No, thank you. No, 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 no. I never advocate violence. Everything must be done in a godly way, in a peaceful way, a dignified way. because this is what the deep state is poking. Come on, guys, create your civil war so that we can now say, see, we need to take over. I never advocate for violence whatsoever. Because violence and anger and hatred doesn't fix it. They'll use it against you. Oh, see, she's angry. Oh, see, she threw this at me. I see, well, see, yeah, arrest her. Yeah, right? Can't do that. You have to be like Gandhi. Peaceful non-compliance. No, thank you. All right. Let's see if there's any questions here before I sign out. That's right. Miracles still happen. Yes, they do. Yes, they do happen. Miracles. Gifts from the divine. Bringing in the power of the I am. I do my affirmations every day. I have them posted in the bathroom. I say them every day. I said them every day before I went to work, along with my prayer of protection. The entities have showed me years ago the power of affirmations is wow. I say them every day. I am healthy. I am whole. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am lucid. I am loved. I am cosmic. I am connected. Bring in your own great I am. Because it's real. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your loving, kind support and your prayers of protection for my video yesterday. That was an hour and 5 minutes long. I hadn't slept. I had cried my eyes out. My eyes were like heavy eyeballs in my sockets from crying about my family member dying. I spoke from my heart, and I meant all of it. So, with that, I'll see you soon. I'll give you an update about the delivering of the message from Jesus to our lovely healthcare system. And I'll also show you a picture of how ridiculous all the crosses are. You think you can just use Jesus's endorsement in this demonic, parasitic, under the guise of healthcare? No. No. There's no Jesus in our healthcare system. And stop using his name. Jesus doesn't charge for healing. When he healed people, did he say, okay, dude, you owe me $1,000 now? No. Jesus is a not-for-profit healthcare organization. ECAS. Isn't that crazy? No, Jesus didn't charge for his healing. Healing and health is a God-given right. It's a not-for-profit. And if you don't have insurance, sorry, we can't treat you. Or what is your insurance, ma'am? Oh, we don't take that. Or yes, we do. Cha-ching, bada bing, right? The first thing they ask you, instead of how may we be of service? No, first thing is, can I see your insurance card and your ID? It's not about healing people, it's about profits. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.